Hallelujah, that wasn't recording. Okay. Welcome everyone to our 6 ways to use AI in your business. I'm excited to bring MetaViewer and Data Courage to join me, the ISV Society, today to chat with you about this most prevalent topic, especially in the ERP space, how we can make AI work in our business, work in our favor, and help just streamline processes, make things a whole lot easier. So Doug Bertram from MetaViewer and Madison Hilland from Data Courage will be presenting for you today. And here is our agenda. So they each will cover 3 topics of the 6 topics that we will be discussing today. So we have MetaViewer going over data extraction, touchless invoice processing, and a consistent workflow. And then Data Courage will cover analytics and reporting, item and customer intelligence, and process automation. And of course, we'll have the Q&A available so you can ask any questions that you would like at the end. And as you know, this is being recorded, so we will be sharing the recording as well. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to let Doug from MetaViewer take it away.
Perfect. Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
And let me do this. All right. Welcome, everybody. As Amy said, my name is Doug Bertram. I'm with a company called MetaFile Information Systems, and we've been in the document management space for over 40 years and really kind of helping companies automate their business. I've been here for pretty close to 20 years. So I've been in the industry a long, long time and have seen things evolve. So today let me make my screen full screen here. So today we're kind of teaming with Data Courage to kind of share with you how our products use artificial intelligence to enable your business processes. My responsibility, the 3 ways that I'm going to talk to you today is our MetaViewer solution, which is our AP automation solution, kind of a best practices approach to AP that's very tightly integrated with Dynamics. I'm going to show you 3 ways that product can really benefit your business. And so without further ado, I'll jump in. I'm going to do a few slides here, and then actually I'm going to spend a little bit of time just to show you some live product, just to kind of reinforce the things that we talk about in the slideshow. So, all right. So really, there's the 3 aspects of artificial intelligence that we incorporate in our product: our data extraction, touchless invoice processing, and consistent workflows. So data extraction is probably the most popular and visible use of artificial intelligence. What it basically does is it's going to automatically read the documents like a human can to eliminate all the manual data entry. We use the data to index documents in our system, but ultimately we're going to push those transactions over to your Microsoft Dynamics solution, so you don't have to key the information in over there as well. The second aspect of touchless invoice processing is once we get those invoices in, the system will use artificial intelligence to automatically process either invoices related to a purchase order or not related to a purchase order. If it is related to a purchase order, it can match, do that 2-way, 3-way match to communicate with the receipts or the open items for that purchase order in GP. If everything is a perfect match, nobody needs to touch it. And so that's the complete touchless aspect of processing purchase order invoices. Non-PO invoices, those you can build some business rules to say for the system to remember how things get coded if it doesn't need approvers, and build some rules like that. So those can go up as well. And then really the third aspect of artificial intelligence within the MetaViewer AP solution is consistent workflows. You know, your business rules have evolved over time, and you've got turnover and people come and go. So the value of having an automated solution and using that artificial intelligence is that system remembers what your rules are. It knows what your rules are. It's not up for interpretation. It's going to standardize your processes. It's going to automatically route it to the right people, and remembering how it was coded and things like that. So that's kind of really the 3 aspects of artificial intelligence in our product. So if we dive into the product itself, here's just kind of a quick overview of the solution. So the solution is really designed to watch email boxes, to automatically pull them into the system. So basically a human doesn't have to monitor that email box. The system is watching it. It's automatically pulling in the attached invoices. And then they feed right into the intelligent recognition engine that uses that AI to intelligently read that document and extract the data. And then once we've extracted that data, it flows into the workflows, which is really that second aspect of the touchless invoice processing, to where, like I said, if we're going to match it to the PO within, if we pull a purchase order number off of the invoice, we're going to do a series of checks and balances, and the system is going to then, if everything is a perfect match, it pushes it over to Dynamics. If it's not related to a purchase order, the way those get automated is like for certain vendors, you can have default account codes set up. And so, or the system can remember how was it coded last time we processed an invoice and code it. And then if it doesn't require approval, it can go right over to Dynamics and nobody touches it. Where the workflows come in, that consistent workflow, really in this aspect, if they are related to purchase order and it didn't automatically match, that's where the user can then interact in MetaViewer directly with the information that's in GP, right from the browser, and then figure out why it didn't match. But then once it's been matched, or you reconcile what the problem was, it can then push that over to Dynamics as well. Non-PO invoices, that consistent workflow, this is probably really where can save some users some time. So the system will remember, based off of the parameters of the document, how it should get coded. You can accept it or change it if you needed to adjust it for, from a one-off perspective. But then it also remembers who are the default approvers for the parameters of the invoice. So I don't have to remember what are our business rules for who do I need to assign this to. And then it also, even their dollar threshold. So like if it's over my limit, it knows to go to my boss. And if it's over his limit, it knows to go to his boss. The system can kind of know all of that. And then basically, once the transactions are into Dynamics, your payments, you can automate those within your Microsoft Dynamics system, and then being able to pull that information back and apply it. We'll apply that to the document, and so kind of keeps a record of everything the intelligent recognition extracted out of the document, the data that got applied to it, as it was being coded or matched to the items and those types of things, and then that payment information, being able to pull that payment information back from your dynamic system to be able to link that information to the transactions as they're flowing through the system. All right, so let's hop over and look at some live product and kind of give you an example, kind of show you real world what's going on. Artificial intelligence is a little bit hard to show because the whole concept or the whole premise behind it is it's doing things so you don't have to. So I'm going to kind of bring some documents up in my system, and I'm going to kind of show you just kind of where that, what that looks like in the system and what kind of information did it populate. So let's look at that, the data extraction aspect. So I'm going to open up a document here. So like I said, the system is watching those email boxes, pulling these invoices in and extracting the data off of them. And if you can see here, here's a document that just came in from an email box. It came in, it went to that data extraction AI, and then extracted and basically filled out the form here. So this is kind of a form in our product. Basically, we call this the header data, what the document's all about. I know what company it's for based off of the capture location. It knows the vendor because it's processed an invoice before from this, so it automatically sets up the vendor. It pulls some things back from the vendor card. But then the extraction aspect, if you hover over the document over here, you can see this is where it got the invoice number. This is where it got the invoice date. This is where it got the sales tax, shipping and handling, if there was a value there, and then the invoice amount as well. And you can see that it extracted and filled in this form for all that data. So I don't have to key all of this information in. So let's look at that's the data extraction. Let's hop over and look at some invoices that were processed automatically that I didn't have to touch. So for the touchless processing, so I'll hop over to a different queue. So I've got some invoices here that are related to a purchase order, and I've got a couple at the bottom that are not related to a purchase order. So if I just look at one of these, let's pick up one of these purchase order invoices. So over here on the right, we actually kind of log an audit trail of, and anytime somebody touches the document, or you can see that this is an automated process, right? This is where AI did some things. And so that's where we keep a log of the information that we did. So these are all the checks and balances that it did. In this case, we extracted the purchase order number using that the data extraction, intelligent recognition. And then we communicated with Dynamics and found some receipts, receipt 1166 in this case, to match to. There was no difference. Everything matched up. The invoice matched exactly what we were expecting from that purchase order. So that's where this document is oversitting into Dynamics, and it's ready to be posted for payment. Once the payment comes back, we're going to fill in this information and then archive this document away. So this particular invoice, nobody touched it. It just kind of came in and it went over to GP. It's ready to be posted for payment. And when we get it, we'll populate that information. If I switch for the touchless processing to something that's not related to a purchase order, obviously there's really no placeholder to match. You're not doing any two-way or three-way matches within GP, but we've also built some rules in the system. As you can see here, this is what the AI did to this invoice, several different checks and balances. It remembers that for Xcel Energy, this is a utility invoice, so it automatically codes it up to the utility invoice. As long as the dollar thresholds are within certain tolerances of what we're expecting for our Xcel Energy bill, it knows to push this right over to GP and code it all up. And now, same thing, we're waiting to get that payment information back. All right, so let's switch to how does it help me, that third element, that consistent workflows. So typically PO invoices, here's an example of one of those. So if for some reason this one didn't match automatically, you can see kind of this is some of the failures, or where it was trying to do some things and it didn't do it. In this case, I can see the document and I can just kind of walk through those steps and see where it failed. So if I look at this one, right, we've got some receipts in GP. I'm off by $75. So here's where those programmed workflows will give you that information from GP and kind of match it and help you kind of walk through it without having to go look up into GP, look up the purchase order, any of that information. All that stuff is kind of coming right back here. So here's receipts 1165. In this case, we're only being invoiced for red shirts, but we've also received some yellow shirts. So that's why it failed. So I can hit that trash can and remove the yellow shirts because they don't apply to this invoice. Difference is 0. I can say reconcile and push that over to GP now. And I'm done touching that. Now that's kind of in that same queue. It's going to get that payment information and apply that to that invoice. From a non-PO invoice perspective, let's hop over to this one. The consistent workflows, for non-POs, a lot of people, they need to code them up, they need to route them to approvers and things like that. This is where the logic built into the system will remember the parameters of this document. So if I click code and reconcile, it's going to either communicate to our own system as it learned from the past, or if you had default set up in your dynamic system, we can apply that too. So it gets coded up here. I could change it if I wanted, or I could accept it and say, yep, that looks good. And then when I say coded, it's going to look at the parameters of who are the approvers for the parameters of this document in the past, right? So you can see it automatically put in approver 100. And then here's where the thresholds come in. If I switch this to 600, right, it knows that this invoice was over his approval limit. So it automatically applied approver 2. If it was over his, it would go to approver 3 and so on. And then I can just say send for approval. And this is where it's actually kind of learning as we go. It's basically saying, hey, you change the default. Do you want to update the default so it remembers department 600 in the future? And I can either update or leave current. And then away it goes. So really, that's kind of where the consistent workflows come in. I'm going to hop back over to my PowerPoint now. I'll bring this back up full screen. So really, that's just kind of just a touch of the base AP automation process. We do have some other add-ons to kind of leverage some of that artificial intelligence for other aspects of your business. These are some of the popular things that we get asked to do: expense reports, requisitions, new vendor workflows, payment batch approvals, things like that. And then even some things outside of the finance area: HR documents, contracts, AR, orders, all kinds of different things that you can leverage some of this technology to be able to automate your business in all aspects. So really, that was kind of what I wanted to just kind of give you a quick flavor for it. Obviously, there's not enough time here to really dive into your particular needs and how the solution does it. But I kind of just wanted to give you an overview and at least show you a little bit of product to kind of back up what I said in my PowerPoint here. But if you have other questions, you can shoot us an email at info@metafile.com. We can set up a one-on-one conversation with you and kind of go through some of those types of discussion items. and see how it fits for you. So with that, I guess I will turn it back to Amy, who will then have Madison take us through how they use AI and Data Courage and how they can help your business.
Yes, thank you, Doug. And we will include this information, contact information, as well in the emails with the recording.
Perfect.
So,
Perfect.
All right, Madison, I'll let you take it away.
Awesome, thanks, Amy. I am going to share my screen. I think the best way to show ours is to just do a live demo right away. So here we are. Can you see my Business Central? Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so just a little bit about Data Courage before I get started. We're an AI and reporting focused company with our focus on apps for Business Central in the Dynamics 365 space. We recently launched our newest app, which is Item Intelligence. So today I'm going to take everyone kind of through both of our apps, both customer and item, and then the corresponding Power BI, which is kind of the AI and reporting, automated reporting for you, so you don't have to go out and build those dashboards yourself. And then at the end, I'll kind of just touch on some other things that we offer, as well as pricing and other information. So I'm going to hide people so I don't have to see my own face. So our apps are available for Business Central, and you can get them off of App Source today. It's about a 5-minute install for both of them. And then you get like a 30-day free trial. And then after that, you can decide if it's working for you, if it's not, and go forward with your level of payment plan that works best for you. So I'm going to start off with our customer intelligence app, which is all about predicting churn. So you want to know which customers are likely to leave your business and maybe delve into why, and then also prevent them from churning out. So our AI and machine learning algorithms come through your Business Central data and pick out patterns and factors that might be affecting churn, and then group your customers into these different categories. So you can see that we've kind of integrated it into the Business Central interface to make it really like kind of one-stop analytics shop where you can kind of just get all of your stuff at your fingertips. We're going to be focusing on the very high, very likely to churn portion of the group right now. So you can see in this pie chart, that's only one person. And then in the high group, there's 11. So if we go over to the right, we can drill into these via our tiles and get a specific list of all of our customers in those groups. So you can see if we want to, we can go into the customer page and see all their customer information within BC, as well as their just name and then which group they're in. So you can see we've grouped this person into newest modest spenders, and then there's a little longer description if you so desire to get into that. In the info tab, we have our KPIs that we use to rank our customers. So you can see that at the very bottom, we have this rating one. So this is going to be telling us how valuable the customer is to our business. So this person's 36 out of 135. So they're probably like mid-level, like they're not super important if we lose them, but they're not like so down the far line that we wouldn't notice an impact. We also have our other KPIs here, which are like how much money they've spent with us, how often they've bought from us, how many days they've been our customer, how many days since their last purchase, and then their purchase interval. So you can see this person's average purchase interval is like 40 days between buys. And right now they're averaging around 245. So that's like something that's red flagging in our system that we want to drill into and kind of figure out what's causing them to not buy on their normal schedule. So focusing into the automation and reporting aspect for this webinar, I'm going to go into our customer tab and drill into a specific client. And here we can see the specific Power BI reports that correspond with them. So I'm going to pick somebody who is rated. So the people with 0 out of 0, they're not active, which means they haven't bought anything from us recently. So we're going to look at all market. And you can see on the right side, we have this kind of mini Power BI report. Let me zoom out. And this is going to give you like a brief snapshot of what your customer is doing. So you can see that this is basic analysis. We have their total sales as well as their top sales categories. So we can kind of see what they're doing, what they're buying most from us, as well as the sales trend versus target. And then if we want to go into the customer intelligence portion of this, we can see where they fall on those KPIs in more of a visual sense, as well as their churn probability. So we can see this person's at a medium. And then if we want to go back in time when the algorithm ran earlier and compare dates, we can. So this is a really helpful feature where you can go back and look at all the different time periods where we ran our analysis and see how this customer has migrated. So you can see that on January 1st of 2021, this person was at a low level of churn, and now they're at a medium compared to what we just looked at. So we want to know like what's causing them to go gradually up that churn probability there. Going back to our home page and scrolling down, we have more tiles, but this time it's split up by groups. So we can see that our AI has grouped our customers into these different groups, including one-time buyers, average customers, loyal, high spenders, and then also we have all of our customers and then those who are not active. So we can customize these tiles as well using normal Business Central functionality, as well as changing the names if you so desire for it to make more sense for your business. And then the AI is going to change these group names based on what trends. So for instance, a new group suddenly starts to emerge, it would add that for you. On the left side, we have another chart that's just going to show us our sales versus profit information for those very likely to churn. Right now, we only have our one person in that group, so it's just them. But it's just a helpful visual overall. And then going down, we can see that we have this Power BI report that has been generated for us. So this all comes with our app. I'm going to pop this out to make it easier to see. Oh, I didn't want to put it on half my screen. And it's just going to pull in all of that customer data. And we have a package of reports that's just ready to go immediately once you set up your app. So this is based on Azure Data Factory. So it takes about, I think, 2 hours to fully set up after the 5-minute install of the app, just to get everything moving. And the goal of our apps is to really make them approachable for those who aren't used to using reporting solutions or are intimidated by building their own. So this is a good way to get introduced to Power BI. We have a helpful little area for those users who might be having trouble learning how to use the system. So we show them how to use it and then have little definitions and pointers for them. And similar to the previous things that I was talking about, we can go back in time with all of these visuals and see how they've changed throughout our financial year. So as I said before, we have our KPIs that we've defined, and then here is a little like dictionary in case you've forgotten what they mean, and then it's going to show your numbers as well. So I'm gonna make this a little bigger, make it easier to read too. So this is all based on your information and what the AI has picked up on, and we can see that it's showing us our range. So for instance, for recency, how recently has the customer made a purchase? So we have someone who goes 0 days, and then the maximum would be 947. Going into the next section here, we have our sales analysis. So this is just a general overview of all the sales activity in our Business Central environment. We have our filters over on the left side, and you can see it's just going to be broken down by our categories as well as category codes. And then if we need to, we can drill into category line or product line as well to see what in that category is selling the most. We can see in this case, it's the computer Acer Aspire 5. And this is just general overview of sales information, which you would have to make yourself, but because we've already set all of this up for you, you get this out of the box. So at the bottom, we can see that we have lots of other tabs and pages and dashboards for you to use. I'm not going to go through all of them just because it's a lot of information all at once, but I'm just going to kind of go through some of them and give you a little overview of what they are. So you can see here that we're looking at our customer distribution based on those KPIs that I named before. And then we can also go into those group performance details, see how they're related to each other. And then we can see how our customers are flowing between groups over time. And then for this chart, if we want to, we can drill down and expand just to make it easier to read visually. Or we can also select groups to compare. So we can see over time these two groups, how they've changed in distribution. We also have a helpful correlation chart where you can see how monetary and frequency are related. If we want to just change the indicators to investigate other ones, we can on our filters tab. And then we can also investigate other groups specifically. I'm going to keep going to our customer migration tab. This is my favorite chart. So we can see how on the first date, let's say we want to do 6/1 of 2021, and then we're going all the way to 6/1 of 2022. So this is a year in between. We can see how our customers have migrated their groups that the AI is grouping them in. So if I click on modest spenders, very rare buyers, we can see that on last year, it was 100% people were in this group. And then over time, most of them have gone to modest spenders, occasional buyers, but 2% of them have gone to clients with unusual behavior. So that 2%, we might want to investigate what's going on there, why they're acting unusually. In a larger group, we can see that this one is going to go to all of these 4 different sections. So we can see that we have like 1% going to best customers. Most of them are staying in loyal frequent buyers, which is good. And then also a few in unusual behavior, and then modest spenders, occasional buyers. So this is just a really good chart looking at how your clients might migrate between dates and figuring out, you can use the other charts in the Power BI report to maybe figure out what might be influencing them to stay or move to a different group. Our AI also uses this key influencers analysis, so it'll pick up on what factors might be influencing customer groups to be grouped how they are. So your customers and moderately loyal occasional buyers, if they have a salesperson code of LR, it's going to cause them to go up about 6 times that likelihood to go into this group. So if we want to investigate like clients with unusual behavior and see if there's anything going on there, we can see that the posting group is in the EU. That one probably doesn't really matter to us because it's going to infinity. But if we look at salesperson code at LH, that's 14 times higher than normal. So compared to any of the other groups, if their salesperson code is LH, they're going to end up in those clients with unusual behavior at a 14 times higher rate. So we might want to look into what this salesperson is doing and figure out what might be causing that. Now, the last one is also just flagging who's near churn. You can see that there's these little flags here. It's rated on a scale of 5 from 1 to 5. So 5 being highest risk of churn. And you can see that's just a little bit of a visual for how we want to group if we want to look at the flags. And then you can also drill through into customer details if you want to look at a specific customer. There's lots of drill throughs within this Power BI report and dashboard. So basically anything that you can right click on, you can drill into. You can see that we have their purchase date, all their purchase information in here as well as their group and all of those KPIs that I was talking about before. So that is the Power BI reports for the customer churn and analytics. And now I'm going to go into the item intelligence portion, which is our newest app. So similar to customer intelligence, item intelligence is looking and grouping your items using AI and machine learning algorithms, except it's going to be grouping them based on their performance and their sales information. So we can see on the left, we have some tiles similar to the previous app, but we can see that it's grouping the items into things like bestseller, rising star, time to promote, new tactics needed, all of these different groups telling us kind of what actionable things we can do with these items to get them to sell better. So for instance, if I click on bestseller alert, I'm going to be taken into that same list page, but this time it's going to show me an item number, an item description, as well as some information about like the stock, sales date, sales amount in the period that we're analyzing, sales quantity in the period we're analyzing, and then cost of goods sold. So we can filter this to whatever month we want. Right now, we're looking at a month of just May of 2022. You can extend this for a longer period of time, but for the sake of this demo, we're just doing this 1 month range. And you can see here that we also have our description for what bestseller means, important items with good sales and ample inventory. So going out of this detail page, we can then go into our Power BI report. I'm going to pop this out again to make it larger. It's gonna make me log in again. Apologies for the delay. Sometimes it takes a little bit to load when you pop it out like that. Similar to customer intelligence dashboards, item intelligence, similar like layout, color scheme, similar how to use this report page as we saw in the customer intelligence. So your users are getting kind of this guide regardless of which app you choose. And then we have the same kind of layout with the groups and tabs at the bottom. So here we're looking at our item groups based on the comprehensive statistical analysis for the clusters that we've evaluated. And you can see that we have our little definitions here in case we don't want to drill into those tiles and see all of their definitions. So we can also see the count of which items are in which group. You can see that our largest group appears to be this obsolete items, which is no sales and no stock, with 110 of them in that group. I go into my next tab, we have a sales analysis by group. So we can understand how our sales quantity is going in our analysis period that we've chosen, which is that month of May of 2022. We can see that our highest selling item right now is the out of fire Bluetooth thing, which I'm not actually sure what this is. But if we click on that, it'll filter all of the other visuals on the page, letting us know which group it's in. And then we can see the sales trend over our analysis period. So you can see this is just our year. We have our trend line here. And then we also can see our description and drill into item details as well. So this is for our item I1004. We can see it's a bestseller alert, and then we can even get more details on specific orders that it's been on. So going back out of this tab, I'll go to stock-based groups. And here we can see just the count of items in each group. Obviously, our biggest one is still obsolete. And then the average value of value stock in each group. So if I click on one of these bars, it'll filter and show me that I have about 200K for the average value of this group. Similar to the other dashboard, we have our filters on the left. We can investigate our performing items versus our no sales or obsolete. So you can see that if we want to get rid of that obsolete items group, we can just click performing items, and it's going to give us kind of a more focused view of this dashboard. So we see our new tactics needed is actually our largest group here. So we might probably want to look into what exactly what tactics we might be needing to do. We might need to run a sales or a promotion, or maybe like have an Instagram drawing or something like that to get this item selling even better. We can also drill into our performing items on the side using our filters. So this is going to filter it similarly to clicking on it, but keep all of those other names up. Similar to our customer intelligence one, we have our item group flow, so we can see how our 3 groups are performing over time. We haven't had much change in our performing items. You can see they've made up about 54% from 6/1 of 2022 all the way to our 12/26 of 2022. But if you were having a lot of variation in this, you would see it on this chart, and then you could scale it or unscale it to figure out where in time you're seeing those changes. We also have this handy item migration chart, which is my favorite, just because of its functionality, and it's also got the most, I think, easy to use interface where we can just click, see what's broken down. That probably wasn't the best one to choose. We can see that if we change our first classification date here, we can, scale our time range into a shorter or longer period of time to analyze where these items are moving. So we have this 100% keep it up means they're selling well on 10/31 of 2022, but now we see on 12/26 of 2022, a lot of them are going into this new tactics needed. So whatever we were doing in October, we might need to start reevaluating, changing our tactics in December. We also just have this handy item intelligence groups dashboard with just sales information. So we have our 4 quadrants here, sales quantity during classification period. We can just see how much we're selling based on their group. And then over here, we can see sales over time versus sales quantity. And then these little green bars, this is that range of time that we've put into our filter in Business Central. So from 5:1 to 5:31, that's going to be shown using this kind of like segregation here. And if we don't want to see both of these because the scale is kind of messed up with sales quantity, we can click these filters at the top just to kind of drill into that as well. We also have sales during classification period, so we can see our quantity of sales in our currency. And then above it's the sales quantity, as well as just a handy little bigger number showing us how many sales we've had and then how it's changed versus our last period of analysis. So you can see that we're up 0.65%. So we're in the green and it's just kind of showing us that there. Very helpful for quick analysis. On our last dashboard, we have our performing items broken into a pie chart, as well as we can click on and drill into specific groups as well. So if we go into new tactics needed, we can kind of see where they fall on all these ranges. So for stock level by quantity, sales trend, sales revenue, and price ratio from high to low, and on basically a scale. So we can kind of look at what outliers we need to be paying attention to. And if we hover over these little squares, it'll tell us exactly what item number and what description it is. So we don't have to just it's not just a visual tool, it's also an analytical tool where we can see specific item information just right here. So I'm going to go out of our Power BI reports. And so these are our 2 top apps for Business Central right now. Both of them are on App Store, it's about a 5-minute install. We also offer a lot of process automation with Power Platform besides just specifically for our apps. So Power BI, Power Automate, Power Apps as well. We do a lot of reporting, but these are our main AI focus for our business right now. So I'm going to stop sharing. And turn it over to Amy so she can just see if anybody has any questions.
It's just amazing how you can just automate all areas of your business and make AI work for you in all areas of your business. So thank you both for sharing all of that. If you do have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A section of the Zoom. There's a little Q&A tab. So you can put them in there and we'll answer those. If you do figure you have other questions after this webinar, as I mentioned, I will be sending out the recording with the contact information for everybody. And so you can certainly reach out to them as well. So stay tuned for that email. But we'll give it a few seconds to see if anybody has any questions. If not, we can wrap it up. But thank you, Madison and Doug, for sharing all this information today. I truly do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Amy.
Yes.
I forgot to mention also, if anyone is interested in the pricing for our apps, we are offering a 20% discount for those who are at this webinar. So if you're interested, you could just email us and we'll send you that info.
And we will and I will include that in the email as well, Madison.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having us today, Amy. It was a pleasure, as always, to kind of help educate the society and help educate your attendees.
Exactly. So I truly do appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I guess it's going to be a quiet day here in question land, but that's okay. If you do end up having any questions, feel free to reach out to us and we'll certainly get back to you with those answers. But thank you, everyone, for joining us, for learning all about AI, and hopefully we can help your business and make it